Appreciate it. To President Lee,
Sir.
to the trustees, faculty and staff, alumni, friends of the college, my beautiful wife, my children, my parents, my sister, who's also a Tougaloo alum. And above all, the scholars of Tougaloo College. Good morning. My mother, she was a school teacher for 28 and a half years, working with special needs children for both the Jackson Public School District and the Madison County School District. My father, he was a letter carrier for the United States Postal Service for over 32 years. My mother, she grew up in Scott County in Forest, Mississippi. And my father, he was born in Crawford in Lowndes County. And as a child, I spent the bulk of the summer in Scott County on the farm, where my grandfather, my uncles, and my cousin and I, we would take care of the cows, we would bush hog the pasture, we would go to the sale barn, we would fix fence, and we would ride horses late into the evening. I spent almost every 4th of July in Columbus, Mississippi with my dad. My grandfather Felix was born on the 4th of July, and although he passed away in 1986, all my aunts, uncles, cousins, we would still gather on Grandpa Felix's birthday. I went through a little bit of my family history because I think it's important that you get to know me. And it's my heartfelt desire to one day get to know each one of you. Mark Twain said that the 2 most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. Each of you sitting here today has clearly covered the first part of Twain's equation. You were born. And by being here at Tougaloo College, you're writing a chapter in a story that gets you to the second part of the equation, and that is discovering your why. It's an honor to stand here on this campus where 64 years ago, 9 Tougaloo College students carried books, courage, and the United States Constitution into the then all-white Jackson Public Library. Those 9 students sat down and they began to read. And for that insistence on belonging, they were arrested. And for that cry for dignity, history now calls them the Tougaloo 9. Their read-in 1961 helped open doors that they were told would stay shut forever. And today, we walk through those doors because they refuse to turn back. 1 month ago, almost to the day, I stood before a packed room at the Mississippi Museum of Art at a conference called All In on Mississippi. And I introduced a panel discussion on a topic that I believe to be one of Mississippi's most challenging and persistent economic development problems. That issue is the brain drain. I said that the brain drain is a problem not just about young people leaving the state of Mississippi for better jobs or higher salaries. It's also about not being seen, not being valued, not being given the opportunities to lead in places we've called home our entire lives. I talked about my experience as a lawyer. I talked about my experience serving as counsel and economic development policy advisor in the governor's office. And I talked about holding a national certification in economic development and sitting for a 2-day examination that rivaled the bar exam. I talked about my own personal battles throughout my career fighting to be given the same chances as others who didn't walk the same path I did, who didn't grow up where I did. And most importantly, I talked about the experiences juxtaposed to being given the same chances as others who may not look like me. I talked about the fact that there were moments, more than I care to admit, that I thought about leaving, about taking my experience, my energy, my commitment somewhere else besides Mississippi, somewhere that might feel easier. But I stayed. I stayed because I believe in Mississippi, and I believe Mississippi can be more than her history. I stayed because of the Tougaloo Nine. I stayed because of professors like Dr. Jerry Ward and Richard Dick Johnson. I stayed because of alums like the Honorable Benny G. Thompson, our congressman from the 2nd Congressional District, and Justice Reuben B. Anderson, the first black man to sit on the Mississippi Supreme Court. I stayed because Derrick Johnson, the president of the NAAPC, stayed. I stayed because of mentors like U.S. District Judge Henry T. Wingate, who was the first black federal judge in Mississippi and the jurist who had the courage to strike down in a ruling just last week, House Bill 1193, which would have outlawed our strides towards diversity. I stayed because of the bravery of U.S. District Judge Carlton Reeves in his 2015 speech at the sentencing of 3 white men who killed 48-year-old James Craig Anderson in a parking lot in Jackson, Mississippi in 2011. I stayed because I want the next black lawyer or engineer or educator from Jackson, Greenville, or Clarksdale to know that you can stay right here in Mississippi, a state that I love and rise to. But you know, the most important thing I said at that art museum that day, in a room that included Jamie Dimon, the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Mayor John Horn, the newly elected mayor of the city of Jackson, billionaire potential gubernatorial candidate Tommy Duff, and Andy Lack, the founder of nonprofit Digital Newsroom Mississippi Today. I said that we have to be honest with ourselves and each other. We have to be honest. Staying only works if we're willing to change the systems that push people out in the first place. We don't lose talent because we lack it. We lose it because we don't recognize it. But my faith tells me that Mississippi is on its way to being a major competitor, not only in the U.S. economy, but in the global economy as well. And I firmly believe that Tougaloo will be a part of that story. To me, Tougaloo has never been merely a place where students take classes. It is a place where Mississippi and America come to be made better. From the quiet discipline of research that goes on in Kinchlow Hall to the moral noise of the movements for justice in sacred places like Woodward Chapel. This college has proven again and again that academic excellence and social responsibility are not competing priorities. They're the twin engines of progress. Your professors stretch the boundaries of knowledge. Your alumni draft laws, lead courthouses, run companies, heal patients, organize communities, and make art that changes how we see one another. The state of Mississippi is more competitive, more just, and more hopeful because Tougaloo exists. And our country is stronger because Tougaloo insists. And this work is not abstract. The work is you. The work is your why. You are the scholars who will write the next chapter of this college's story. Your curiosity in the classroom, your discipline in Kinchlow Hall, your empathy in Berkshire Cottage, your leadership in student government, all of it adds to Tougaloo's character and its credibility. You don't just study the mission, you are the mission. I want to take a point of personal privilege and talk to you about what it means to be a scholar at Tougaloo College, not only in the early 2000s, but in this very moment as well. I came to Tougaloo College as a freshman in 1997. And as a freshman, my experience wasn't unlike many of my peers. That is, before declaring a major, we would take the core classes required of all new students, like mission involvement, which obligated freshmen to attend chapel every Wednesday. And we also had to take certain electives. And during my freshman year, I happened on an elective that piqued my interest profoundly. And that class was the Introduction to Philosophy. Now, I will be the first to admit I didn't have a great appreciation for the term philosophy as an 18-year-old, and I probably thought it might be an easy A. But it wasn't, nor was the professor who taught it, Dick Johnson. Through that course, Dick introduced me to John Rawls, Bertrand Russell, René Descartes, Ludwig Wittgenstein, and Jean-Paul Sartre. And it forever shaped the way I viewed and approached the world and my life inside it. After my freshman year, I declared a double major in English and icon with an emphasis in philosophy. And icon, that was a major that Dick created, and it stands for Interdisciplinary Career-Oriented Humanities Major. And it's the very major that some of the brightest minds from this college declared. I've probably had over 60 teachers in my lifetime, but I can count on one or two hands the teachers who changed my life from grade school like Donna Loden to law school like Angela Kapinda. But it was because of Tougaloo College professors like Dick Johnson and Jerry Ward that I submitted my application to be a United Negro College Fund Andrew W. Mellon Fellow. And as a Mellon Fellow, I studied with some of the best and brightest minds and HBCU students in the country, gaining exposure to a network of ideas at a camp called the James Weldon Johnson Institute for the Study of Race and Difference, where 25 rising juniors spent 6 weeks in the summer of 1999 in Atlanta, Georgia, on the campus of Emory University. And because of Professor Johnson and Jerry Ward, I attended Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island in 1999 in that fall, and New York University in New York City in spring 2000 on a year-long exchange program. So what does it mean to be a scholar at Tougaloo College? It means you're called to the hard, joyful work of open debate and discourse in the pursuit of truth. The pursuit of knowledge demands that we test ideas, not cancel people, that we disagree without disdain, and that we prize evidence over echo, that we steel man the argument, not straw man it. So here's my ask for you for the year ahead, Tougaloo students. Number one, seek first to understand. Ask the extra question that reveals what your classmate really means. Number two, bring your full story. Let your experiences, where you're from, what you've overcome, what you believe, inform the conversation. Number three, be brave. Be brave enough to change your mind when the facts or a better argument require it. Number four, be generous. Be generous enough to let someone else change theirs without humiliation. And most importantly, number five, find a mentor, a big sister, a big brother. One like my big brother, Jabari Edwards, who is one of the strongest people I know. He is someone who faced perhaps the greatest adversity of his entire life, but he did it with a smile on his face and an unwavering spine. When we do that, when we model rigorous inquiry and compassionate respect, we strengthen the academy and ultimately we strengthen our democracy. "17 years ago, then Senator Barack Obama gave a speech in Philadelphia called A More Perfect Union. He began with the Constitution's opening promise and then faced head-on the discomfort of that moment. How to respond to the painful words from his pastor without pretending that race in America could be wished away. He refused a false choice. He would not disown a man who had walked with him any more than he would disown his own family or the communities that had formed his life. He insisted that people are complicated, that love and loyalty can coexist with honest critique, and that our union, though imperfect, can be perfected by truth-telling, which is the work that can be the blueprint for leadership as well as campus life. Examples of that include the work of Mississippi Today and the stories that they publish, and the courage of those reporters who speak truth sometimes in the face of great retribution. We need that same honest complexity today. We live in a time when the very language of diversity, equity, and inclusion is contested. Some hear those words and think fairness overdue. Others hear them and fear exclusion by name. But here at Tougaloo College, let us resist the talking heads. Let us do the slower, braver work of seeing one another whole, acknowledging real harms and real fears, refusing to flatten anyone into a single story, and refusing to settle for a country where a child's life chances are predicted by a zip code or their skin color. That is the honest work of building a more perfect union, a more perfect Tougaloo, a more perfect state. And if you need proof of this discipline and truth and courage that it bears, look to the people who sat where you sit right now. Look to Congressman Thompson, a son of Tougaloo, who has represented Mississippi's congressional district since 1993 and become one of the nation's most respected voices for security, voting rights, accountability. He didn't just make it to Washington, he took Tougaloo with him. Look to the Honorable Reuben B. Anderson, Tougaloo graduate, trailblazer, and the first Black justice on the Mississippi Supreme Court. When Justice Anderson ascended to the bench in 1985, he altered what young Mississippians could imagine for themselves, and he still does, given that I witnessed him firsthand when he helped to inaugurate Mayor John Horn in front of a diverse audience on a diverse stage, both racially and politically. Look to attorney Constance Larter Harvey, Tougaloo alumna, the first Black woman to earn a law degree from the University of Mississippi, and later the first Black female judge in our state. She turned first into futures, mentoring generation after generation to step through the doors and hold them open. Look to Derrick Johnson, Tougaloo graduate and the president and CEO of the NAACP, who reminds America that advocacy anchored in community can still bend policy towards possibility. Look to his work around economic development and the recently launched $200 million venture capital fund called NAACP Capital that will invest in fund managers and startups focusing on closing gaps in disadvantaged communities throughout our country. These leaders did not and do not agree on everything. They don't have to. But what they share is a Tougaloo forged conviction that truth and service belong together, and that Mississippi deserves the very best of their minds and their talents. The Tougaloo Nine teaches that scholarship without courage is incomplete. So Congressman Thompson, Justice Anderson, Judge Larter Harvey, and President Johnson teach us that courage without preparation is reckless. You need both. the rigor to know and the backbone to act. So whether you're studying biology or history or economics or education, whether you're training to be an artist who unsettles us in the best ways, or a mathematician who solves problems that we haven't even thought of yet, do it excellently, do it ethically, and do it for more than yourself. Let your degree be a promise that you will use your talent to lift as you climb. I also want to speak a word of hope not only for Tougaloo, but for Jackson as well as my beloved Mississippi and the fragility of democracy in this country that I love. For Tougaloo, your partnerships, your faculty talent, your alumni network, and most importantly, your students. Your students position this college to lead in the sciences, in the humanities, in public health, in entrepreneurship, in teacher training and technology. The next breakthrough can be born right here on this very campus. A campus whose property lines run through Hinds County, Madison County, the city of Jackson, and the city of Richland. Tougaloo College is intricately nestled between I-55, with property lines crossing I-220, buttressing one of the fastest growing corridors in the country, and that's Highland Colony Parkway. I believe Tougaloo's economic future is tied to creating direct access to I-220 and Highland Colony Parkway, building a mixed-use development with housing, research, retail, healthcare, and education on its bustling 500 acres. For the city of Jackson, we have challenges, and we know them by name: water, infrastructure, safety, trust. But I believe in this capital city. I believe in its leadership. I believe in its creativity, in its grit, in its churches, in its civic groups, in its small businesses, in its startups, its classrooms, and its kitchens. I believe Jackson can become a national model of investment, innovation, and inclusion, reinforcing each other, that we decide if we do something together, we can do it. And for the state of Mississippi, we will not be defined by our worst moments. We will be defined by our resolve to write better ones, by how we fund our schools, how we grow good jobs, how we keep talent at home, how we welcome new families, how we protect voting rights, and expand economic opportunity. Mississippi has always produced extraordinary people, but it's time to make our systems as extraordinary as our people. And for America, I remain stubbornly optimistic. We are messy and magnificent, all at the same time. We argue, we stumble, we try again. But the promise that drew the Tougaloo Nine to a reading table and drew generations to polling places and classrooms is still alive today. But we're not finished, and we will not fail. The work continues, and those workers are in this very room. So students, let me leave you with this simple charge drawn from this college's living history. Read courageously. Seek out ideas that stretch you and stories that humble you. Build bridges. Find the classmate you disagree with and build something useful together anyway. Serve somebody. Put your education to work for neighbors who may never learn your name. And when your moment comes, as it did for 9 students in 1961, you step forward. One day, I may be called to serve Mississippi in new ways. And if that day comes, if the people of this state ask it of me, I want to be ready. I want to be worthy. But public titles aren't the point. Service is. Whether you lead a classroom or a clinic, a courtroom or a company, a nonprofit or a neighborhood, carry yourselves as if Mississippi's future depends on it, because it does. I want every Tougaloo current student to stand right now, please. I want you to repeat after me. I am a Tougaloo College student. All right, Tougaloo, we got to do a little bit better than that now. Come on now. I am a Tougaloo College student. I am a Tougaloo College student. I am a Tougaloo College student. Thank you, Tougaloo College, for the gift of this place, this mission, and this moment. Thank you.
Exceptional speech. Exceptional speech. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Attorney Harrison, for delivering that timely and purposeful message. Please join me in welcoming Tougaloo College President, Dr. Donzel Lee, to the podium.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, I came in hungry this morning and I got the appetizer, I got the main course, and I got the dessert. Anybody know cookie today? Thank you, Terry. What a wonderful speech. Good morning, distinguished Tougaloo family. Let me begin by thanking all of you for attending today. I'm so happy to see you here. This is a tradition at Tougaloo, and we uphold traditions that have made. Second, let me applaud Attorney Harrison for his outstanding message that encouraged us to think forward and to be exemplars of education through our intentions, connections, and relationships. Attorney Harrison and Board Chairwoman Davis, please join me now at the podium. Attorney Harrison, as a token of our sincere appreciation for being the 2025 President's Convocation Speaker, it is my esteemed pleasure to present you with this rendering that is considered vector art and uses lines, points, and shapes that are mathematically designed. The artist is Tougaloo Student Government Association President, elect Morgan Stanley. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you. This is gorgeous.
Thank you indeed.
You hold it. Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to present our new merit scholars. For the eagle listed of the program, our new first year and junior merit scholars stand, please, and remain standing until their group is recognized. Presidential Scholar Tia Yees. Superintendent Scholars John Cooper Jr.